Photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is a series of chemical reactions by which green plants, algae, and some bacteria convert light energy into chemical energy that is stored in glucose or other organic compounds. This process is fundamental to life on Earth as it provides the primary source of energy for almost all organisms and contributes to the oxygen content of the atmosphere. As we can see, the reaction is 6 carbon dioxide plus 12 H2O by using light energy and chlorophyll produces C6H12O6 or glucose plus 6 oxygen molecule plus 6 water molecule. The process provides not only food for the plants but also energy, raw materials, and oxygen that are used to support most heterotrophic organisms in this world. Furthermore, photosynthesis is important because it is number one source of oxygen in the atmosphere. It contributes to carbon cycle. It contributes to symbiotic relationship among plants, animals, and human beings. It directly or indirectly affects most living things on Earth since it serves as primary energy process for plants. So photosynthesis takes place in photoautotrophic organisms like plants, algae, some protists, cyanobacteria, and purple sulfur bacteria. Let us see external leaf structure. The outer leaf layer, what we call epidermis, secretes waxy cuticle. Waxy coating cuticle is a protective layer found on the surface of leaves, stems, and other aerial parts of plants. It is made primarily of cutin, that is a waxy, water-repellent substance and is secreted by epidermal cells of plants. This waxy layer minimizes water loss by reducing evaporation, especially in arid conditions, and acts as a physical barrier to fungi, bacteria, and other pathogens, preventing plants from infection. Epidermis. Epidermis is a continuous layer on the outer side of the plants, which is one cell thick and provides protection. Epidermis in stems and leaves is covered with waxy cuticle to protect organs from drying out and protect organs from infection. Epidermis in leaves has pores, what we call stomata, which allow entry of carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. The leaf has three main parts: leaf base, leaf lamina, and petiole. Internal leaf structure. Mesophyll cells. Mesophyll cells are specialized plant cells located in the leaves which play a central role in photosynthesis. Mesophyll cells are made up of specialized parenchyma cells found between lower and upper epidermis of the leaf. These cells are found within mesophyll tissue which sandwiched between the upper and lower epidermis of the leaf. Mesophyll tissue is divided into two distinct layers. The upper layer is palisade mesophyll cells. This located beneath the upper epidermis or near the upper surface of the leaf where they receive more sunlight. Palisade mesophyll cells are long, cylindrical, and tightly packed to maximize light absorption. They contain a high concentration of chloroplasts that make them the primary site of photosynthesis. The second layer is spongy mesophyll cells. These are found beneath the palisade layer closer to the lower epidermis. Spongy mesophyll cells are irregularly shaped with larger air spaces between them. This facilitates gas exchange by allowing carbon dioxide to diffuse to the chloroplasts and oxygen to exit the atmosphere. The site of photosynthesis. The site of photosynthesis is the chloroplasts, which is a specialized organelle found in the cells of plants and algae. In plants, the highest density of chloroplasts is found in the mesophyll cells of leaves. Chloroplasts are double-membraned organelles which have the outer membrane that faces the cytoplasm of the plant cell on one side and intermembrane space of the chloroplast on the other side. And chloroplasts have the inner membrane that separates the narrow intermembrane space from aqueous interior of the chloroplast, what we call stroma. Stroma is the fluid-filled space where the light-independent reactions or Kelvin cycle takes place. This is where carbon dioxide is converted into glucose. Stroma also contains a number of other structures such as starch grains and thylakoids. Thylakoids are set of membranes which is disc-shaped compartments that have interior space which is called thylakoid lumen. In many plants, thylakoids are interconnected to form stacks, what we call grana. Thylakoids are where light-dependent stages of photosynthesis takes place, and in some plants, some thylakoids have tubular extensions that join up with thylakoids of adjacent grana, what we call intergranular lamellae. Thylakoids contain photosynthetic pigments, what we call chlorophyll. Grana. Grana are stacks of up to 100 disc-like structures or thylakoids. Photosynthetic pigments. Photosynthetic cells contain different pigments that respond to different wavelengths of visible light. These pigments are chemical compounds which reflect only certain wavelengths of visible light. This makes them appear colorful. Flowers, corals, and even animal skins contain pigments which give them their particular colors. Pigments are useful to plants and other autotrophic organisms. In plants, cyanobacteria and algae, pigments are the means by which the energy of sunlight is captured for photosynthesis. Since each pigment reacts with only a narrow range of spectrum, there is usually a need to produce several kinds of pigments, each of different color, to capture more solar energy. There are three basic classes of pigments. The first class is chlorophylls. Chlorophylls are greenish pigments which contain a porphyrin ring. This porphyrin ring has potential to gain or lose electrons easily and providing energized electrons to other molecules. Chlorophylls are many in kind, but the most important is chlorophyll A. This chlorophyll A is green in pigment and found in all plants, algae, and cyanobacteria. The second kind of chlorophyll is chlorophyll B. This is found only in green algae and plants. The third form of chlorophyll is chlorophyll C. This is only found in photosynthetic members of Chromista and dinoflagellates. The second class of pigments is carotenoids. Carotenoids are usually red, orange, or yellow pigments in color. This includes the familiar compound carotene that give carrots their color. Carotenoids cannot transfer sunlight energy directly to the photosynthetic pathway, but absorb and pass their absorbed energy to chlorophyll molecules, mostly chlorophyll A. Carotenoids are so-called accessory pigments. One very visible accessory pigment is what we call fucoxanthin or brown carotenoids. That is brown pigments in color, which make brown algae look brown as well as diatoms. The third class of pigments is phycobilin. Phycobilins are water-soluble pigments that are therefore found in the cytoplasm or in the stroma of the chloroplast. They occur only in cyanobacteria and rhodophyta. Absorption spectra of photosynthetic pigments. Absorption spectra are graphical representations showing how much light a substance absorbs across different wavelengths. That means the range of wavelengths each molecule absorbs. These are shown in the graph at wavelengths from 400 to 700 nanometer by three pigments: chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, and carotenoids. Chlorophyll A mostly absorbs violet to blue and reddish orange to red color. Chlorophyll B absorbs mostly blue and yellow light. Carotenoids, which is ubiquitous and essential pigments in photosynthesis, are able to absorb blue to green region of the solar spectrum, and this transfer the absorbed energy to chlorophylls. So carotenoids expanding the wavelength range of light that is able to drive photosynthesis. From the absorbed light energy, largely blue and red is useful in photosynthetic process.